Virtual summits are the most powerful online marketing tool available to grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and create an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. If you are ready to take your summit to the next level, then tune into the Virtual Summit podcast with Dr. Mark T. Wade.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark T. Wade, founder of Virtual Summit Software and creator of the One Day Summit Formula. And I'm on a mission to help you, the summit host, get your summit out to the world in a powerful and impactful way. So let's get started. Hey, Summit hosts, Dr. Mark T. Wade here, founder of Virtual Summit Software and your host on the Virtual Summit podcast. I am super excited for today's episode. We are going to be getting into some extremely valuable information that you are going to absolutely want to hear because it might just save your summit. Now, all of that's going to be possible because we got legendary Christina Wessendorf with us today. Christina, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you, Mark.
Well, I am super glad you're here with us. I cannot wait to jump into some of this information about all the different summits you've been putting on and kind of unpack all of those. But before we get into those summit goodies, I would love for you to just take a quick moment and let the audience know just a little bit more about yourself.
Awesome. So guys, I'm a coach and I'm working for travelers who are traveling overseas. And actually I'm putting together, packages all around how can you follow your calling, traveling abroad and still, having a plan and still putting something into place and finally really making your calling, your travel calling doable. And especially I think during Corona, this is a very valuable point because it's all about, how do I use this time I'm not allowed to travel to still keep going with my mission. And yeah, so I'm from Germany. I was working before in Egypt. So I have this Arabic German international background and I cannot wait to share what I experienced.
Oh, well, it is going to be fun unpackaging these summits. Now, first off, super big shout out coming over to us from Berlin. That is amazing. I'm glad we have this capacity and ability to connect with each other worldwide. And I also think this is a really great highlight to the fact that, it doesn't really matter where we're at, that we can still do summits. So Christina, I would love for you to kind of talk to us a little bit more about your summits. Give us an overview of the different ones you've done, and then maybe kind of give us a little bit more insight into your most recent one.
Awesome. So I think especially what I'm talking about very valuable for all the business owners who still don't have a team and who still get started. So I actually started my coaching business with summits. I started last year and until right now created 3 summits. And they all have a different topic. So from summit to summit, I use them also to figure out who is my ideal client and who I want to work with. And so the first one were called From Power to Peace. We were all for this CEOs and corporative executives who, need to be very strong and powerful in their job. But they come home and they would love to be this, this loving partner or father or mother. And how do they switch? So, well, it was my first summit and it was kind of, really, I took a lot of learning lessons from it. And then I decided to go right into the next summit, who were kind of a flop. And I can talk about later, but then I created just 1 month ago, my last summit ended and it were called the Abundant Soul Travelers. And like you can hear, it getting much more closer to the people I really want to serve. So I think summits are an amazing way to kick off your business and to get started. And yeah, that's it so far as an overview.
Virtual Summit's software makes hosting a summit easier than ever. The only software in the world designed specifically for hosting a summit lets you set up a summit in a matter of hours with no tech skill or team needed. You can try out the Virtual Summit's software free at virtualsummits.com. But hurry, this is a limited offer.
I love that. And I love that you said you've used summits to kind of get closer to who your target audience is. Let's kind of unpackage the first one. I want to talk about that first one. When you started off with that, and I guess we're still trying to figure out who you wanted to serve. What was some of the ways that you were able to use that to improve for your later summits? What were maybe one or two lessons you learned from the first summit that you're like, okay, I can fix this or do this differently moving forward?
I love that you're talking about it, because on the back end, it was such a mess. And on the front end, it looked nice and I could still fix it. So I think there are huge learning points here. Listen, so I'm having a business coach who told me how to construct and how to do the summits. And I was interviewing the speakers, and at one point, I lost all the interviews because I did not save them on my computer, but in the cloud, or the other way around. Somehow I really lost them. And I got so totally freaked out, because my personal promise for this first summit was really to serve the people, like to give them what they are subscribed to. And it was so important for me that I tried to figure out, how can I still deliver value, right? How can I still make it possible and not to postpone the summit? Because I think for everybody who gets started with summit, you are so likely to postpone when you don't hit the numbers, of speakers, or technically is very, it's a chaos. But I think, to really stand out as a leader and to really take the responsibility, it's great to deliver, even if it's not, the high value that you promised to. And so what I ended up doing is that I became very vulnerable with the speaker. I said, sorry, I lost your interview. Are you ready to redo it in very short term? And I just got back to my coaching, and I also asked them to encourage me that it's possible within the next 5 days to still find, 7, 8, or 9 speakers. So this was a time where it's about really, like, that you are so committed to do your summit, and you know why you are doing it, and to really follow through. Like, I think this was one of my biggest learning lessons. So we delivered a summit at the end, who were, not the 23 speaker, but who were maybe 15 speaker or 11 speakers. But I felt like I really gave my best. And for my first summit, I think, this is like, the Corona management. So once you are through it, like, you feel like a superhero. It really raises your confidence, and you can get better next time.
Christina, oh my goodness, I feel your pain over here. I couldn't imagine what would happen if all of a sudden. Now, I've had scares like this before. I've had scares like this before in multiple facets, sometimes on my podcast, sometimes on summits, sometimes on different projects I'm working on. But that is always one of the worst feelings to have. And what impresses me the most right here out of this is most summit hosts would have quit right there. They would have just said, you know what, there's no way I'm going to those speakers, back to those speakers. I'm just going to not do it. And they just would have not moved forward with this. So I love that you said, you know what, I have a responsibility to my audience. I have a responsibility to these speakers. And you weren't just vulnerable with the speakers. That shows a lot of characteristic of integrity to actually go to those speakers and say that. And yeah, of course, one or two, some speakers are going to be annoyed. But honestly, most speakers, most influencers know the amount of integrity and courage, I would say, that it would take to reach out and say that to them, and they're going to respect you that much more. So I just want to take a moment to point that out, because that is That is very impressive. Now, I love what you talked about on what you've learned from that and how you can move forward. Now, I'm really curious now to hear how the second one was, the bombed summit. If you had this kind of incident with the first one, so let's unpack the second summit. Now, what happened on that one to make it quote unquote a bombed summit?
Yeah. So like I told you, the second one was a flop in terms of speaker. And here's what I also would love to share, this big learning lesson for me. So guys, for you who get started in the online world and you're asking influencers from a niche, from, you still don't really know. So what you can learn now from my mistake is that there's a specific, how can I say, there's a specific seasons in the year it's easier to make summits, and the specific seasons it's really hard to find speakers who take or have time to jump on your summit. So what I want to say by this is my second summit should launch in, I think, November 2019. And what I figured out is that most of the speakers, even if they would love to jump on my summit, they just don't have the time, because they just their team booked out their calendars in the last 2-3 months of the year. They are just not available, even if they will love. So that was the main reason why it was a flop, because the interview, like the speakers I had, they promoted, the interviews went really well, like the people who subscribed, they got value and I got feedback, but this was my biggest learning lesson.
And is such an important one to understand, especially because I see on a regular basis summit hosts that are very ambitious, very eager to get their summit out there. And so they're trying to do it very, very quickly. One of the things to understand, as you've just mentioned here, is it's not just about how quickly you can put everything together, but it's also about making sure that you're giving your speakers enough time to even be on their promotional calendar. So I love that you point this out, Christina, because that's something a lot of summit hosts don't actually consider or think about. Micro influencers up to anchors and influencers, a lot of times their promotional calendars are at least 3 to 4 months booked out. Some of them are booked out in a year. So this is a great learning point right here. Now let's pivot here to the third summit. And what I want to talk about is some of the success points with this. You've given us some really great examples of areas of lessons learned, but let's talk about some stuff with any of your summits, but specifically your most recent summit and why it was one of your most successful ones.
Awesome. Absolutely. So the last one is my most successful one. And one of the things what worked really, really well is the connection to the speaker. Means that every time, right, you are getting the speaker, like in the way I do it, I get the speaker on a first call to see two things. If we match, matching means the first point is actually, is if their audience and their message is matching with what I want to deliver, right? So for example, in my last summit, it was about people who are traveling or already traveled abroad and who are sitting right now there. And I'm a bit confused about, how do I get not distracted by this new life and still follow my vision through. So I had speakers, who are digital nomads, and I had speakers who were around purpose, and speakers around quitting your corporate job and doing something totally different. So take a leap of faith. And so when I connected with the speakers, I need to know, right, what they are telling me, because of course I did a research. Of course, you as a summit host, or you're interested to create a summit, you did a research before, but still it's about, is it matching right now? But the second part, what I also learned is, and what went really well, is to know if, it sounds a bit weird, but I would love to have your opinion later, Mark. If the character is matching with me. So here's the thing. I think you can have two types of really great interviews. Like one type of person is really the contrast of you. Like there are opposite opinion, opposite ways to do it, but it's so interesting, right? To see both ways in the interview point of views. The second one is somebody who is really likely like you, and it feels like a great connection. So I had, for example, so once again, right, this worked really well because I could train myself to say the truth when the speaker was not matching. They had, 20,000 on the email list. They had a great matching, great message, but still somehow I really, there was no flow. Like I could not imagine to make a great interview with this person. So you need to speak your truth. You are the host of the summit. You are giving huge value and you are giving huge exposure to this to its influencers and speakers. So you can say your truth and say, you know what, this sounds amazing, but I don't have the impression that it's right now on the summit, it's the good match or it's the right time or stuff like this. So, and from the person what I selected in the end, I had maybe 5 who were like, really soulmates, or I have this ability to find awesome people. So really great people. And I actually, after the summit is over, I got clients of one speaker, and we are, pushing each other on different levels higher. With another speaker, I already got on the phone because she was proposing, to work in her network or also to do a workshop together. And she's a great woman with a lot of influence and a lot of beautiful things, what she's doing. And another influencer, he is like, I feel like a small legend, but we're checking in together. So we'll see what happens. And I hope this is a short overview around that. Connecting with the speaker is so important to deliver a great summit, but also because why are you doing a summit, right, guys? You're doing a summit because first, maybe you want to figure out your ideal client, but second, you would love to be on mission, and you would love to to spread your talents and gifts in the world. So you want to connect with thought leaders on the same on the same level, eye to eye, and you would love to get into this world of online business. So this just worked out amazingly. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, no, and I love that. And I love how you pointed out the partnerships that came from the speakers. This is it's one of those, what I call an intangible return on investments. Most people are focused on leads or revenue that comes from their summits, but there's actually so many intangible return on investments, and partnerships that come from the speakers that you've created relationships are one of the most powerful return on investments, because those are people who will support you in either a partner webinar or a affiliate launch, or promote you to their list, etc. And it is so valuable and so beneficial. So I love that you pointed this out. Let's.
And Ursula, sorry, let me just add this one point is so especially I see it right now in the time of Corona. Like these are people you connected with on your last summit or on my last summit. These are people I reach out now to them and I'm proposing them, to make a short mastermind together. Or, these are people like you can instantly, to support your list and to serve your list, you can instantly have access to in a friendship way and can ask them. So like you can really use them to serve deeper.
Be sure to check out the speaker management tool inside your virtual summit software, which lets you quickly and easily recruit and manage your speakers on your virtual summit, literally eliminating hundreds of hours of work. Get more information at virtualsummits.com.
So true, and such a great point there. Let's dig into a little bit of with this summit. There were a couple, or maybe some lessons learned from this as well, and I'd like to dig into that a little bit. We were talking about in our pre-interview chat some of the topics or issues with email copy, and I'd love for you to kind of unpackage that. What happened? What was the complication? And kind of how would you do it differently?
Awesome. So, guys, I hope that you hear me in this because this is so beautiful. And this is where, especially when you are a type, a business owner type like me, like I get very excited. I'm very also inspiring. I love speaking. But when it comes to the copy, I did not put the focus on it, and I did not also put the energy in it. So I get better and better in this, but what I would love to tell you is, first of all, writing your copies is not a point where you give up your energy, right? So you found the speakers, you're in the progress of doing the interviews, there comes the promotional package, you also have to create, I have to, at least to tell your designer how it will look like and to put it together. But writing the actual emails, and I'm talking about, summits, my summits were live, for 21 days, for example, when I have 21 speakers. So it means that every day there will go out an email to the attendees who joined the summit with a subject line about what kind of interview they will find today. So you need to write a lot of copies. So the summit even did not started yet. After that you interviewed the people and the summit even did not start yet, but still your energy might go down. And I can tell you, copy is the first thing, or maybe the second, what your attendees will see from your summit. So it really is important that you are taking care of this and taking also your energy for it. So one of the golden thing what I figured out, and also what my coach was telling me, but once again, if you have a coach, follow the coaching, right? A lot of times we think that we don't have time or we know it better, but just a really lovely invitation to follow coaching. So what really worked well is that when I had the speaker, when I did the interview directly after hanging off the phone or closing Zoom, I opened a word sheet and I just wrote an email to my best friend about this interview. What it gives you is that you are saving the energy, how you feel about this interview, and you can use this word sheet directly to create later on a beautiful copy. So this is the first thing I want to give you. The second thing is that in my first summit, I did not choose a good subject line. So what I did actually is I wrote something like, Maria Oslena, she is going to teach you this and this and this. And in the copy itself, I was I was pointing out so many things what are good in the interview. And what I think is, this is when you are this excited business owner like me, right? So when you are like this, please take care that you really watch the interview again after you're not excited maybe, and that you are finding one golden point, why this interview is different from all the other interviews. What it makes is that it makes your copy easier to write, and it also serves you to really find to promote this interview as an interesting interview. It also gives the opportunity to use the subject line to point out this golden point. And here's where I also love to copy paste. I also love to before much more to jump on other summits to learn from other hosts, right? So I were attendee, and something what I just copied from the last summit I were on is that you are writing in the subject line, for example, figure out your purpose, whatever, right? And then that you are writing not in the subject line, but the second part of the email, which shows in gray, what you also see without opening your email, what you see directly in your inbox, that you are putting the name of the speaker. Because your audience want to consume value and want to get answers to their questions, and who this person is you are speaking to, this is important. You will write it in the copy, but in order that people are interested to open the email, this is not an eye catcher. As at least if you don't have some persons who are incredibly well known, but normally it's better to do the copy like this. What do you think, Mark? What are your thoughts about this?
No, I think first off, I think email copy in general is one of the most the least favorite aspects of a summit for most summit hosts. It's one of the most procrastinated aspects of a summit, so much so that we actually every year run an entire summit just on this called Summit Scripts over at summitscripts.com, because the email copy is so important. But most of us, like you were saying, Christina, we're not copywriters. Like, we're excited, we're visionaries, we're entrepreneurs. We like to be on the interview with the speakers, but then when we sit down to write the copy, all heck breaks loose. So I love that you pointed this out and you walked through this. And I think it's very important for summit hosts to recognize that and think about that. And as you said, going back through some of those interviews as well, even afterwards, are important, as well as I'd even add one of the strategies I like to do is while I'm doing my interviews, I'm taking notes specifically for promotional and copywriting purposes. And at the end of the interview, I actually have built into my schedule time for my what I call the post-interview process, which is where I will map some of these things out. So it's already done for this very reason, like you were just saying, is because I know it's now more fresh than ever right now. Whereas in a month or 2 months from now, if I go back to start writing some of this, I may not remember it exactly how it was. So amazing insights there, Christina. Now, as we start to wrap this episode up, I'd love to talk about a little bit of the maybe challenges and or strategies or even resources available to be able, when hosting a summit, like the challenges of trying to handle it all on yourself, trying to build out, all of the platforms all by yourself, all these type of aspects that you've experienced. Why don't you give us some insights into that experience?
I think that's a good point. I think, especially when you get started and like I told you, you don't have a team. Look, I think I experienced it. It's so valuable to take a virtual assistant, a VA. And just if you never heard about this, you can go to the websites. Upwork. I use Upwork, like UPWORK.Upwork. And you can put a job offer there inside, and you can put some key points, some bullets about what you or who you need your virtual assistant to be, and what programs he needs to be, to be familiar with. And so having a virtual assistant gives you a lot of support. So it gives you support to when you write the initial emails, the generator emails. You write emails at the beginning maybe to hundreds speakers before you get 20, 25 speakers confirmed. So the follow-up from initial emails, because you want to send some reminders and check on them if they read your email or just super busy. The follow-up, this is a perfect task for your VA, right? That's one point. Also, to coordinate the speaker, like to collect the information. right? So if you do it like with yourself and a virtual assistant, the virtual assistant is so incredibly valuable, really, that you can concentrate on right. Maybe he also books this initial course and the interviews in your calendar, but you can really you can go to the copywriting, right? If you don't have a copywriter, and you can go to you can put your focus on doing the actual interview, preparing for the interview, and you still have your life, right? So I don't believe when you're starting that you are doing it full time, and I think you have a part-time or full-time job by side. So, or at least you have your main business, right? And you're trying to add or you are adding the summits. If you don't want to get started with virtual assistant, I really would love to introduce you to Mark's Summit software. I just created an account, and I went through the video how it looks like, and basically what it does, it takes all your work, all the work that your virtual assistant is doing for you to set up the landing page, to collect the information of the speakers, what takes a lot of time, because they are also sometimes they have some questions about it and so on. Like all of this, and also if creating this affiliate links, and if you want to make a paid version of your summit afterwards, like everything is included in the summit software, and it's not expensive, right? So these are two options that you have in order to handle the summit in a way that you don't feel overwhelmed. And even if you think like, hey, this is my first summit, I do it all on myself, believe me, there's just coming too much, small work that you can handle it all on yourself. And also a virtual assistant is starting from $10 per hour. So you are absolutely, it's absolutely possible for you also to hire one.
With the Ever Summit feature inside the Virtual Summit software, you can rerun your summit as if it were live, ongoing forever with one click of a button. This now lets you continue to use your summit forever, bringing in qualified and engaged leads every month into your business. Get more information at virtualsummit.com.
Well, this is really great information, and I appreciate the shout out to Virtual Summit software over there, Christina. That makes me smile over here. Love hearing people give that some great feedback, and I appreciate that. So, and I agree with you 100%. Probably both. You should be using a platform like Virtual Summit software, and for sure have some help. It's going to make that so much easier, like you just said as well, Christina. So you can actually still have some bit of a life while you're building out your summit there. So now this has been an absolute blast. But before we kind of wrap this up, I would love to just kind of hear. Well, first off, let's go with this, because I know everybody's going, well, Mark, where's Christina hanging out with? How can we get in touch with her? So let everybody know where you're at and the best way to get in touch with you.
Awesome. So I would say, especially if you're in the position to see how you use your time right now in Corona, in order to deepen your vision, in order really to not forget about your dreams. I would love for you to make yourself the gift and go to abundant. Wait, it's a slash in the middle. I think the line, right? Abundant. No. How is it called, Mark? I have to acknowledge, right? It's not my mother language, English. So how do you say this in English?
I got to give you a shout out there, because one, I lived in Italy for 6 years, where I moved there without speaking the language, and then became fluent. And even when I was fluent in it, it was still such a challenge to giving interviews, presentations in a second language. So hats off to you there. Running summits in different languages. But here's what we'll do, Christina, we'll link to it in the show notes, so they'll be able to grab it in the show notes if you just want to name it what it is, and we'll link to it over there.
Awesome. So it's the website abundant-traveler.com. And you just put your information there and sending me a short, then you will get a welcome email. And then you're invited to sending me a short note about what you are at right now with your business and what is your biggest challenge. And I will give you with free interviews from my last summit totally for free, so that you have kind of a support right now. And in another way, I would love for you just to check myself out on Facebook. It's again facebook.com/Leben in Fülle. This is German. Let's also put the link in the description. But this is a great way actually to check on some videos what I'm doing, to check, if I can support you some further, or just to get in touch and say hi.
Absolutely love that. Thank you. And yes, we will link all of that information in the show notes over at podcast.virtualsummits.com/151. So make sure you head over there and grab those goodies from Christina. I'd love for you to round us out here with like a parting piece of wisdom for these summit hosts that are maybe just getting started or just thinking about getting started with a virtual summit.
Awesome. So guys, first of all, I'm super excited for you, and I'm very proud of you that you think of this option, because we have a lot of funnels we can use in order to start or grow our business. And I believe that when you get started, summits is the absolute best way to figure out your ideal client, to get to know thought leaders in your market and in your niche, and to build confidence that you need, because you would want to start as a leader, or you want to improve as a leader. And so it's a lot of different things what you need to think about in order to create something good you're also proud about to share and promote with the speakers. So I also invite you from my heart to figure out if there's like a business coach out there who shows you the framework, right? So Mark is just very close to you, you know him so well. So if you would love to run a summit, I can also invite you just to check out his framework, to go to other coaches who are close to you and you know well and you trust, because it's so important for you and your business. And especially right now in Corona, it's your chance to make an impact and really to serve and to solve some big problems that people have. So do not, just try to put it all together, but I wish you a lot of success. And this is, I think, the best way with some help.
So good. Thank you so much, Christina, for sharing these gems with us today.
Woohoo! With pleasure.
And thank you, all you Summit hosts, for hanging out with Christina and I. I'm Dr. Mark T. Wade, your host here on the Virtual Summit Podcast. Don't forget to head over to the show notes to check out all these amazing goodies that Christina just shared with us over at podcast.virtualsummits.com/151. And remember, your message matters, so go out there and make an impact in the world, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening. Now don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review on the Virtual Summit Podcast. Head over to the show notes to check out all the links and resources from this episode, and be sure to grab your free trial of the Virtual Summit software.
Now, I want to end this episode by saying to all the Summit hosts listening right now, I believe in you, and you can do this. Summits are by far one of the most powerful ways to quickly grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and most importantly, make an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. So don't get caught up in analysis paralysis, because the world needs to hear your message, and there are people who are waiting for you to help them. So just get started, because imperfect action is always better than no action. Thank you, and see you on the next episode.